Joining us now, the Bulwark Congressional reporter, Joe Perticone. Joe, how much of this is a pro forma response from a lawmaker to a constituent?
You know, you can call your member of Congress for anything, and you can complain to them and be concerned about anything, and they'll usually give you a good response. In this case, we got our hands on about a dozen letters. No telling of how many more there are out there. Those are just the ones we got and verified that showed that these members are saying one thing in public and saying another thing in private. They love to do that behind closed doors, but with their constituents, this really shows that they're empathizing with their case, or they're maybe very concerned about the political ramifications of, you know, not being too tough on this billionaire who's unelected, unconfirmed by the Senate, who's been meddling in every government department. But with this Social Security thing, there's a financial uncertainty there, and that's what gets people more concerned, like these members that have to reassure their constituents.
What are they doing within Congress to make sure that Elon Musk's reach isn't infinite?
Not much. You know, for the past several weeks since Trump took office, and certainly since Doge has really picked up steam, I've spent many days asking Republicans in the House and Senate, is this acceptable? Isn't it your job to control taxpayer money? And there's been nothing but a lot of shrugs there. There's been some concern. It's been rhetoric. But as we've seen with these letters, sometimes they say one thing publicly and then they say another thing to their constituents.
Is there a point at which it is your understanding that Republicans might stand up and say this is going too far? I mean, Elon Musk is in the Oval Office right now. He's going to be talking about numbers he's allegedly found in the federal government. It's unclear what exactly he'll be describing. But so far, there have been a lot of individuals within the federal government who have been put on leave or asked to take a buyout. There's been a whole lot of reporting about his access to financially sensitive information and personal information. Do you have a sense that there is a red line for Republicans where they might just come out and decide to speak out against Elon Musk and maybe ask President Trump to hold him back?
I'm not so sure. Every time we've seen a red line get crossed, it gets pushed further and further away. Those who have seen red lines and crossed them and said, how dare you, have been ostracized from the party. So I don't see much action from this. Where it does become tricky is if it becomes a political issue. And financial uncertainty is the number one thing. A lot of the baby boomers in the peak years of the late 50s, they're going to be filing for Social Security for the first time this year or next year. And if somebody's rifling around with the Social Security system, that could cause a lot of uncertainty for the people that rely on that money. And that's where it could come back to bite Republicans. So,
again, Musk is in the Oval Office right now, and Musk is saying that his goal here is to restore democracy. That's what he says. And they said that they're looking into federal employees who had a high net worth despite their low pay. So that means that they're getting into the individual finances of individual government employees and implying that there's corruption there. I mean, we started this whole show off by talking about the ways that the government's weakening the controls around corruption for political folks, and then also for individual companies, and also for, say the mayor of New York here, who Donald Trump wants to help him with.
Much for being here. You've been very busy. I just want to start with new evidence regarding Elon Musk's Doge team accessing sensitive federal data, because I think a lot of people sitting at home are wondering what they're doing with this. What should we know? Where is this information? And you, Wired reporter, the Musk team has claimed they had read-only access to Treasury materials. That's key. But reporting from Wired states at least one Musk-aligned official had the ability to change the code of the Treasury's payment system, which also feels important to me. You've called on the Treasury Secretary to come clean about Musk's infiltration, because we all have all these questions. Have you gotten a straight answer or learned anything?
We haven't gotten a straight answer, and I'm convinced this read-only matter, Jen, is just a blatant lie. Later reporting showed that, in effect, the Musk henchmen were going in there to cut off payments they didn't like. And the reality is Musk is about subverting the Constitution. He's already got access to Social Security, financial data, health data, you name it. And I think people need to know that these are the elements of a coup.
There was so much you just said there. And let me just start with the first thing you said, which is that you think they're lying about what they had access to and what kind of access.
We got extensive reporting that showed that this wasn't just a garden variety examination of files or film or something like that. This was an attempt to go after payments they don't like. Anybody who thinks that these are just routine kind of audits, from the get-go, they removed the official who had been at Treasury for what amounts to eons.
Yeah, and very well respected.
Very well respected, and by the way, respected on both sides of the aisle. And they took him out because they wanted somebody who was completely compliant.
Just yesterday, the Trump administration argued that courts cannot block Musk's Doge team from accessing the Treasury Department's payment system, saying the order impinged on the president's absolute powers over the executive branch. That feels not accurate. But do you have, you said they were lying about access. Do you think they're going to actually comply with the judge's order?
This is gobsmacking stuff, Jen. I mean, the reality is this is rewriting the Constitution. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have Congress writing laws, we have the executive branch executing laws, and they're just making it up as they go. In fact, I think you talked with some of our folks about the 5 Treasury secretaries today. I mean, the 5 Treasury secretaries... They
wrote an opinion piece in case people haven't seen it.
And they basically said that our system is under siege, which is what I started saying at the beginning when we found out that the Treasury Secretary had given the keys to Musk.
Yeah, one of the points they made, and I'm so grateful you raised that, is basically that our democracy is under threat here. And part of it, as I read it, is that this is something that needs to be resolved in the short term, but this could all have a long-term impact if this isn't resolved, them having access.
This is setting precedent every single day. If everybody just looks the other way, you keep chipping away at the Constitution and you do enormous damage, which is what the Treasury Secretary said today.
As I started saying, there's a bit of a whack-a-mole game here.
It's a good characterization.
Because we're all just trying to keep track. You're trying to keep track and keep them accountable. You've also launched a probe into Doge's interference with the Department of Education, including its access to sensitive student loan data, which is just completely outrageous. Talk to us a little bit about what you're concerned about here. What are the potential risks of a security breach, of people gaining access to that information?
Well, and a lot of these systems are not exactly the most current. And you go in there, you can mess up files and do permanent damage. And that's what we're trying to really show people is on the line here. This is not something that's an abstract situation. This is the prospect of going in with old systems and causing immense damage.
Norm, I just want to actually get your thoughts. You're a former White House ethics czar. You heard Elon Musk say he's essentially policing himself right now. Is that how things are supposed to work?
No, Wolf. The ethics laws are there to protect against conflicts, so people who are working for the government are serving the public interest, not their own interest. Elon Musk is slashing staff in agencies that are investigating him. What arrangements have been made? We haven't seen his financial disclosures. Supposedly he's signed it. How is he dealing with these conflicts? Does he have waivers? Is he recused? You have a criminal president, 34 convictions. No wonder he's happy with Elon Musk. They're violating the law right and left. And it's a lie by the president that he always abides by court orders. I was in that courtroom in New York. He broke the judge's directive again and again. He was fined, and he didn't stop until the judge threatened him with jail.
So people normally this quiet?
Your detractors, Mr. Musk.
I have to what?
Including a lot of Democrats.
I have detractors?
You do, sir.
I don't believe it.
Say that you're orchestrating a hostile takeover of government and doing it in a non-transparent way. What's your response to that criticism?
Well, first of all, you couldn't ask for a stronger mandate from the public. The public voted. We have a majority of the public voting for President Trump. We won the House, we won the Senate. The people voted for major government reform. There should be no doubt about that. That was on the campaign. The president spoke about that at every rally. The people voted for major government reform, and that's what people are going to get. They're going to get what they voted for. And a lot of times, people that don't get what they voted for, But in this presidency, they are going to get what they voted for. And that's what democracy is all about.
Mr. Musk, the White House says that you will identify and excuse yourself from any conflicts of interest that you may have. Does that mean that you are, in effect, policing yourself? What are the checks and balances that are in place to ensure that there is accountability and transparency?
Well, we actually are trying to be as transparent as possible. In fact, our actions, we post our actions to the Doge handle on X and to the Doge website. So all of our actions are maximally transparent. In fact, I don't think there's been, I don't know of a case where an organization has been more transparent than the Doge organization. So, you know, and the kind of things we're doing are, I think, very, very simple and basic.
Bruh, nobody likes Elon, not even his own squad. Republican Congress folks? Yeah, they'll hype him up in public, either because they're scared of Trump or they've fully sipped the MAGA Kool-Aid. But behind closed doors, different story. These MAGA GOP types, let's call them MAGA gops, are out here telling their voters, nah, don't stress, Elon's not actually that powerful. He's just a hype man, a mascot, a background character in Trump's show. But let's be real, that's just them trying to calm down their own base. Because a lot of Republican voters, they're not feeling Elon. They voted for Trump, not some billionaire Twitter troll trying to flex influence. And it's not just the left calling him out. You got progressive senators like Ron Wyden taking shots, but also MAGA diehards side-eyeing him too. When both ends of the political spectrum are dunking on you, yeah, you messed up.